The challenge announced in a far corner of the galaxy, under the cold light of a dying sun, a message was sent across the stars. It was not just a message, it was a challenge. Loud, clear, and terrifying. The sender was Lord Vraxus, the most ruthless alien warlord known to mankind. He ruled over many planets with an iron fist. His name alone made soldiers tremble and children cry in fear. Vraxus had a daughter, Liara, known across the galaxy for her strength, her rage, and her unbeaten record in battle. The message echoed through every human colony. It was broadcast on giant screens, beamed into every ship, every home, every corner, where humans lived. The words were simple but powerful. Defeat my daughter in battle. If you succeed, she will be yours. Fail, and you will lose your life. The humans were shocked. Fear spread like wildfire. Why would a mighty warlord offer his fierce daughter like a prize? It made no sense. Some believed it was a trap. Others thought it was a way for Vraxus to mock humanity, to show them they were weak and foolish. Many warriors read the message and turned away. They knew Liara was a living weapon. She had crushed champions, destroyed armies, and stood undefeated, even against the strongest alien warriors. Still, among the sea of doubt and fear, there were a few who dared to dream. One of them was a young soldier named Aaron Hale. Aaron was not the strongest man nor the smartest. He was a simple soldier who had fought in small battles and survived. He had seen the darkness of war and the cruelty of the galaxy. But he also had something that many others had lost: courage. When the challenge was announced, Aaron was sitting in a dusty bar on a forgotten colony world. He watched the message play again and again on a cracked screen. The faces around him were full of fear and disbelief. No one wanted to go. No one wanted to die. But something inside Aaron stirred. He remembered his father's words long ago. True courage is not fighting when you are strong. It is standing tall when you are afraid. Aaron stood up slowly. The bar went silent. All eyes turned to him. "I'll go," he said simply. A few people laughed. A few cursed. Some shook their heads, thinking he was already a dead man. But Aaron was serious. He knew the risk. He knew he might not return. But he also knew that some chances come only once in a lifetime. The next day, Aaron stood at the transport docks. The journey to the warlord's planet Dravok Prime would be dangerous. Many human leaders tried to stop him. They warned him, begged him, even threatened him. But Aaron did not change his mind. "I have nothing to lose," he said quietly. "And maybe everything to gain." As the small ship carried him away from his home, Aaron looked out at the endless stars. Somewhere out there was Liara, the fierce daughter of Vraxus, waiting for a challenger. He did not know what would happen. He did not know if he could win, but he knew one thing for sure: he would not run away. On Dravok Prime, Liara stood on a high platform, watching the new challenger approach through the thick alien mists. Her eyes, sharp and cold, studied the small human soldier walking toward her. Beside her, Lord Vraxus watched too, a cruel smile playing on his lips. He turned to his generals and said, "This human is nothing. This will be over quickly." But Liara did not smile. She sensed something different, something strange. This human did not walk like the others. He did not tremble. He did not boast. He simply walked forward, steady and calm, as if he had already accepted his fate. And sometimes, she knew, that was the most dangerous kind of enemy. The drums of battle began to beat. The challenge had been accepted. There would be no mercy, no second chance. The fate of Aaron Hale, and perhaps much more, would be decided very soon. First meeting with the fierce daughter, the air on Dravok Prime was heavy with mist and the smell of burning metals. The ground shook with the rhythm of ancient war drums. Every step Aaron took toward the battle arena felt heavier, but he did not stop. Around him, alien warriors, generals, and nobles gathered, their strange eyes watching with cold amusement. To them, he was just another fool, another human who would soon lie broken on the ground. The arena itself was vast, carved from dark stone and surrounded by towering statues of long-dead alien champions. Banners of crimson and gold fluttered in the thick air. In the center stood a raised platform where she waited. Liara, the daughter of Lord Vraxus. Aaron saw her for the first time. She was taller than any human woman he had ever seen, her body wrapped in armor made from the scales of beasts that did not exist on Earth. Her hair was dark as the void, tied back with thin silver cords. Her skin shimmered faintly under the twin suns, and her golden eyes burned like fire. She did not speak. She only watched him, like a predator studying weak prey. Aaron's heart pounded inside his chest, but he kept his face calm. He knew if he showed fear now, he was already defeated. A horn sounded from somewhere high above, and a voice, deep and booming, declared the terms of the challenge. Fight until one submits or falls. No weapons of mass destruction. No outside help. No mercy. As the horn faded, Liara finally moved. With slow, deliberate steps, she walked toward him. The crowd grew silent. Even the winds seemed to hold their breath. When she stopped just a few feet away, Aaron could see the scars across her arms. Old battles, old victories. She had fought hundreds, maybe thousands, and she had survived them all. Liara tilted her head slightly as if curious. Then she spoke, her voice sharp and cold. "You are smaller than I thought," she said. Aaron shrugged. "I am stronger than I look." A ghost of a smile flickered across her lips, not a kind smile, but one that promised pain. Without warning, Liara struck. It was not a punch. It was a blur of movement, faster than a human eye could follow. Aaron barely dodged, feeling the wind of her fist brush past his face. He stumbled back, heart racing, adrenaline surging. The battle had begun. Liara attacked again, her strikes precise and brutal. She was testing him, seeing how he would react. Every movement she made was full of deadly grace. To her, this was not a fight. It was a lesson in fear. Aaron knew he could not match her strength. If he tried to fight her head-on, he would lose in seconds. So he used what he had: speed, agility, and his mind. He dodged instead of blocking. He rolled instead of standing still. He baited her into overreaching, forcing her to waste energy. The crowd jeered, shouting insults. They wanted blood. They wanted to see the human crushed. But Aaron stayed focused. As they circled each other, he noticed something strange. There was a tightness in Liara's movements, a slight hesitation in her left leg. An old injury, perhaps. A weakness. He filed the thought away. He would need it later. Then something even stranger happened. For a moment their eyes met, truly met. In that brief second, Aaron saw more than just anger and pride. He saw loneliness. He saw a fierce warrior trapped in a life she did not choose. And he realized something terrifying. Liara did not want to be here. She was fighting because she had to, not because she wanted to. Before he could think more, Liara roared and charged at him with full force. Aaron barely dodged, feeling the ground crack beneath her blow. If that had hit him, he would be dead. Sweat dripped into his eyes. His muscles ached, but he smiled slightly, because now he had hope. Liara was not invincible. She was strong, yes. Deadly, yes. But she was also wounded, in body and in spirit. And sometimes that was enough. The first meeting between the human and the fierce alien daughter ended with no clear victor. Both stepped back, breathing hard, studying each other. The horn sounded, again signaling the end of the first round. Liara gave him a long, unreadable look. Then she turned and walked away, her armor glinting under the twin suns. Aaron stood alone in the center of the arena, his body aching, his mind racing. This was not just a battle for survival anymore. This was a battle for something much bigger, something neither of them fully understood yet. And deep down, Aaron knew this was only the beginning. The brutal fight begins. The second horn echoed across the ancient arena, deep and cold like the voice of the dead. The real fight had begun now. No more testing, no more slow movements. This was the moment where bones would break and blood would fall. Aaron wiped the sweat from his forehead and locked eyes with Liara. For a moment, time seemed to stop. The alien crowd leaned forward in their seats. Lord Vraxus watched from his throne of black stone, his fingers tapping slowly on the armrest. The generals and warriors around him whispered bets and laughed cruelly. No one thought the human would last long. No one believed he had a chance. Aaron breathed deeply. He felt the weight of the galaxy pressing down on him. But inside, a small fire still burned. He refused to die without fighting with everything he had. Liara moved first. She exploded forward with terrifying speed, the ground cracking beneath her feet. She threw a punch aimed straight at Aaron's head, a punch that could crush steel. Aaron ducked just in time. The force of the blow brushed his hair, and he felt the rush of air like a hammer passing by. Without thinking, he rolled sideways and kicked at her injured leg. Liara stumbled slightly, her golden eyes narrowing in surprise. She had not expected a human to notice her weakness so quickly, but she recovered fast. She spun around, her armored leg flashing through the air. Aaron barely blocked it with his arms, the impact sending him sliding backwards across the dusty ground. Pain shot through his body. His arms felt like they were on fire. He knew if she landed a clean hit, he would be broken. Liara advanced again, not giving him a moment to breathe. Her fists rained down like a storm, each strike faster and heavier than the last. Aaron dodged, ducked, weaved. He moved like a shadow, never staying in one place for more than a second. He let her attacks come close but not touch him. It was a dangerous game. One wrong move and he would die, but he had no choice. Liara was a force of nature, and he was only human. Still, he noticed something important. The more Liara attacked, the more frustrated she became. Her strikes became harder but also wilder. She was used to winning quickly. She was used to her enemies breaking after a few minutes. But Aaron was not breaking. He kept moving. He kept standing. He kept fighting. And deep inside, Aaron realized something shocking. Liara was afraid, not of him, but of something else. As they fought, Aaron saw it in her eyes, a flicker of fear, a hidden sadness. Maybe she was afraid of what would happen if she lost. Maybe losing meant something worse than death for her. Aaron decided to test a theory. Instead of attacking her body, he attacked her mind. He spoke, even while dodging her deadly blows. "You don't want this," he said between gasps. Liara growled, swinging harder. "You don't want to fight me." Another brutal strike missed him by inches. "You are not your father's puppet." For the first time, Liara hesitated, just for a second. But in battle, a second is enough. Aaron seized the moment. He ducked under her guard and slammed his shoulder into her injured leg. Liara stumbled back with a snarl, her balance broken. The crowd gasped. For the first time, the fierce daughter of Lord Vraxus was losing ground. Aaron did not press the attack. He backed away, breathing hard, giving her space. He was not here to kill her. He was here to survive. And maybe, just maybe, to save her. Liara stared at him, breathing heavily. Blood trickled from a small cut on her cheek, the first blood drawn in the match. The war drums stopped. The arena fell into deep silence. Everyone watched. Even Lord Vraxus leaned forward, his smile fading slightly. Liara wiped the blood from her cheek and looked at her hand. Something in her changed. She lowered her fist slightly and tilted her head, studying Aaron with new eyes, not as an enemy, not as prey, but as something different, someone who saw her not just as a warrior, but as a person. The moment stretched between them, filled with heavy, silent understanding. Then Liara lifted her fists again, slower this time, and nodded once, a warrior's nod. Aaron nodded back. The brutal fight was not over. But now it was no longer just a battle between a human and an alien. It was a battle between two souls trapped by fate, fighting for something neither fully understood yet. The twin suns of Dravok Prime sank lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the arena, and the real war had only just begun. Unexpected victory. The third horn sounded low and slow, vibrating through the stones of the ancient arena. It was the signal for the final phase. This was where most battles ended. In blood, in death, in silence, Aaron stood in the middle of the cracked ground, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. Every muscle in his body screamed for rest. Bruises darkened his skin. Blood ran from a cut over his brow. But still he stood. Across from him, Liara tightened her fists. Her golden eyes glowed faintly in the twilight. The cut on her cheek had stopped bleeding, but the anger in her face had deepened. Or maybe it was not anger anymore. Maybe it was something closer to fear. The alien crowd grew restless. They shouted, roared, demanded blood. They wanted the human crushed. They wanted the daughter of Vraxis to prove her strength once again. Even Lord Vraxis leaned forward in his seat, his fingers gripping the arms of his throne tighter. Aaron knew he had little time. He could not match Liara's strength forever. Sooner or later she would land a fatal blow. He needed a plan, something bold, something crazy, and he needed to do it now. Liara attacked without warning. She came at him with a speed that blurred her body, a roar tearing from her throat. Her fists became a storm. The ground cracked under her steps. The arena shook with every strike she threw. Aaron ducked and rolled, feeling the heat of her rage pass inches from his skin. She was faster now, more desperate, and that was the key. Aaron realized that Liara was fighting not just to win, she was fighting not to lose. She was afraid of what losing meant, afraid of her father's eyes watching from the throne, and fear made even the strongest fighters weak. Aaron let her chase him for a few moments, dodging just enough to stay alive, until she grew careless. Then, he moved. He feinted left, and when Liara lunged toward that side, he spun right. He slid low across the ground, sweeping her injured leg from under her. Liara stumbled, falling to one knee with a grunt. The crowd gasped. Aaron did not hesitate. He jumped forward, wrapping his arms around her neck, locking his body tightly against hers. It was not strength that held her down. It was technique, leverage, surprise. Liara roared and struggled, her muscles flexing like coiled steel. She slammed her elbows back, trying to break free, but Aaron shifted his weight each time, keeping the hold tight. He could feel her strength weakening. She had spent too much energy too fast. She had underestimated him. Aaron tightened his grip, pressing harder, whispering in her ear. "You are not your father's slave," he said. "You can choose your own fate." For a moment, Liara froze. Then, slowly, painfully, she tapped her hand against the ground, the universal signal of surrender. The arena went silent, completely, deathly, silent. Even the wind stopped blowing. The drums fell silent. The alien spectators stared in shock. They could not believe what they had just witnessed. Lord Vraxis rose from his throne, his black cloak billowing behind him, his face twisted in a snarl, his eyes burning with cold fury. His daughter, his perfect weapon, had surrendered, and not to an alien champion, not to a monster from the depths of space, to a human. Aaron slowly released Liara and stepped back, breathing heavily. Liara stayed on her knees for a moment, her head bowed. Then she rose slowly with dignity and grace and faced Aaron. Without a word, she knelt before him again, this time in full submission. The laws of Dravok Prime were clear. The one who defeated the warlord's heir could claim the prize, but Aaron did not smile. He did not raise his fists in victory. Instead, he looked at her with respect, not ownership. He had not fought to own her. He had fought to free her. Liara looked up at him, her eyes no longer filled with rage, but something else, something older, deeper. A small nod passed between them, not as master and servant, but as equals. The alien crowd still did not cheer. They did not know how to react. They had never seen anything like this before. Lord Vraxis watched them in silence, his hands clenching into fists. His plan had failed, and somewhere deep inside his dark heart, he knew. This was only the beginning of his troubles, because Aaron Hale had not just won a battle. He had planted the first seed of rebellion, and rebellion, once born, could never be fully killed. As the twin suns sank below the jagged mountains, the human and the alien daughter stood together in the dying light, two warriors bound by something stronger than blood or law, something even Lord Vraxis could not control, something unstoppable. The true price of victory. The arena stayed frozen in silence as Aaron and Liara stood side by side. The twin suns dipped lower, casting long, blood-red shadows across the cracked ground. Victory had been claimed. But no one cheered, because deep, inside everyone sensed something unfinished, something dangerous still moving under the surface. Aaron looked at Liara, who now stood calmly, her head high. She did not seem defeated. She seemed free. But before Aaron could speak, a deep metallic hum filled the air. Out of the corners of the arena, armored guards marched in. Black-armored soldiers with glowing red visors, carrying heavy weapons. Aaron, tensed, raising his fists again. Liara put a hand on his arm, stopping him. "Do not fight them," she whispered. "Not yet." The soldiers surrounded them, forming a perfect circle. Then, with a thundering boom, Lord Vraxis rose from his throne. He walked down the stone steps slowly, his black cloak dragging behind him like the shadow of death. His face was a mask of cold fury, but his voice was calm as he spoke. "You have won the challenge, human," he said, the words dripping with bitterness. "By our laws, she is yours now." The alien crowd shifted uncomfortably. Even the bravest generals avoided looking into Vraxis's eyes. Aaron stood tall, his body aching but his spirit unbroken. "I did not come to claim a prize," Aaron said simply. "I came to win my freedom, and hers." A murmur ran through the crowd. Lord Vraxis smiled, a cold, cruel smile. "Freedom?" he said softly. "You speak of freedom as if it is a gift easily given." He raised one hand, and from the sky, a huge holographic map appeared. Stars, planets, and battlefields blinking in sharp red lights. "By defeating my daughter," Vraxis said, "you have broken the old balance. You have insulted ancient traditions. You have made enemies far greater than you can imagine." He pointed at the map. Dozens of planets flashed red. "Every house loyal to me," he said. "Every warrior bound by blood. Every bounty hunter across the stars. They will come for you now." Aaron's blood ran cold. This was not a simple victory, it was a death sentence. "You have made her a target," Vraxis continued, his voice full of mock sadness. "And you have made yourself a hunted man." Liara stepped forward, her voice clear. "You did this," she said to her father. "You made me a weapon, but now I will not be your blade anymore." Vraxis's eyes darkened. "Then you will die with him," he said. He turned his back and walked away, his guards following him like wolves. The map in the sky blinked once more, then vanished. The alien crowd began to leave, silent and tense. No one wanted to be near the two, who had challenged the will of Lord Vraxis. Aaron looked at Liara. "What now?" he asked. Liara's face was calm, but her golden eyes burned with new fire. "Now we run," she said. "And then, we fight." Together they walked out of the arena. But, already, bounty hunters were gathering in the shadows. Ships were being prepared. Secret messages were flying across the stars. They had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. And the true price of victory was just beginning to show itself. As they climbed into an old stolen ship hidden beyond the arena walls, Liara turned. To Aaron. "There is more you need to know," she said. "What is it?" he asked, strapping into the co-pilot seat. Liara looked at the stars ahead. Endless, cold, dangerous. "I am not just my father's daughter," she said quietly. "I am something more. Something even he fears." Aaron stared at her, confused and curious. Before he could ask more, alarms blared across the city. The hunt had begun. The ship blasted. Off into the dark sky, chased by unseen enemies. Behind them, Dravok Prime burned with the anger of a warlord betrayed. Ahead of them, the endless galaxy waited. full of danger, full of hope, full of secrets yet to be revealed. And Aaron realized something deep in his heart. This was no longer just a fight to survive. This was the beginning of a war they had no choice but to win. Hunted across the stars rushed past the small stolen ship as it sped through the void. The engines roared like angry beasts, leaving a trail of heat and broken air behind. Inside the cockpit, Aaron gripped the controls tightly while Liara watched the radar with cold, sharp eyes. Blinking red dots appeared on the screen. 1, 2, 5, 10. The hunters had already found them. They are faster than I thought, Aaron muttered, trying to steady the ship. Liara nodded, her face unreadable. Vraxis does not forgive, she said. He sends the best killers first. Aaron glanced at her, feeling the weight of their situation. They were not just running from one enemy. They were running from an entire empire. The first attack came just as they entered the shadow belt, a dangerous stretch of dead asteroids and floating debris. Laser fire streaked past them, burning bright lines through the darkness. "Hold on," Aaron shouted. He dove the ship hard to the left, narrowly avoiding a spinning rock the size of a building. Behind them, 3 sleek black ships closed in, firing. Again and again, Liara jumped into the weapon seat, her hands flying over the controls. Heavy cannons on their ship roared to life, sending blasts of energy toward their pursuers. 2 enemy ships dodged easily, but the third was not so lucky. The explosion lit up the shadows like a second sun. Aaron and Liara barely had a moment to breathe before more signals appeared on the radar. "Reinforcements," Liara said, her voice tight. Aaron cursed under his breath. They needed a plan. Fast. "There's a gravity well up ahead," Liara said, pointing at a pulsing dot on the map. "We can use it to jump deeper into the outer systems." "Gravity wells are dangerous," Aaron said. "We could tear the ship apart." "Better than being torn apart by them," Liara replied. No time to argue. Aaron pushed the engines harder, the ship groaning under the pressure. Behind them, the enemy ships kept coming, like bloodhounds chasing wounded prey. The ship entered the outer edge of the gravity well. Everything started to shake. Alarms blared. Metal screamed. Aaron gritted his teeth and held the course steady. "Almost there," Liara said, her voice like steel. The ship shuddered violently as they crossed the threshold. Stars twisted into long lines. Time bent and stretched. For a moment, everything went dark. Then they were out, flung into deep space far beyond the reach of Dravok Prime. The radar went quiet. The hunters were gone. For now, Aaron leaned back in his seat, his body shaking from adrenaline and exhaustion. Liara sat silently, watching the stars. After a long moment, Aaron spoke. "How long before they find us again?" Liara's golden eyes narrowed. "Not long. They have trackers on every major route, and some hunters. They can track by scent, by energy, even by dreams." Aaron shivered. This was no simple escape. This was a life on the run. He turned toward her, his voice serious. "You said there's more I need to know." Liara nodded slowly. "My father was afraid of something inside me," she said. "A power he could not control." Aaron listened carefully. "I was born different," Liara continued. "Not just strong, not just fast, something deeper, something ancient." "What kind of power?" Aaron asked. Liara looked at her hands, almost like she was afraid of them. "The old legends speak of a bloodline," she said. "A line of warriors who could bend the will of others, who could command not by force but by spirit." Aaron frowned. "Mind control?" "Not exactly," Liara said. "It is more like awakening something inside others, making them see, making them choose to follow, not because of fear, but because of belief." Aaron stared at her, understanding slowly dawning. "That's why your father wanted you as a weapon," he said. "And that's why he's terrified of you now." "Yes," Liara said. The ship drifted quietly through the stars. "So what now?" Aaron asked. Liara's eyes burned with a fierce light. "We gather allies," she said. "We find those who have suffered under Vraxis. We build a rebellion, not with fear, but with hope. Aaron smiled grimly. It was a crazy plan. It was almost impossible, but somehow it felt right. Before they could speak further, a soft beep echoed from the console. Another ship. Approaching fast. Aaron checked the scanners. His stomach tightened. "It's not one of the hunters," he said. "It's something bigger." Liara stood up, her hand resting lightly on her blade. "Then prepare yourself," she said. "For what?" Aaron asked. Liara's voice was calm and full of hidden fire. For the first true test, the stars outside shifted, and from the darkness, a massive battleship appeared, black and gold, bearing the mark of a fallen house that had once served Vraxis. It seemed they were not as alone as they thought. And somewhere deep inside the ship, old alliances and old betrayals were waking up. The hunt was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun. Final confrontation. The black and gold battleship loomed ahead, a silent mountain in the sea of stars. Its weapons were cold, but the threat it carried was burning and real. Aaron and Liara watched from their tiny cockpit, both knowing this meeting could change everything. Aaron's hands tightened on the controls. "Do we run?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. Liara shook her head slowly. "No. This time we face them." The battleship sent a signal, a simple invitation to dock. No threats, no demands. Aaron guided their ship carefully toward the giant vessel. Metal arms reached out, pulling them into a docking bay filled with shadows and whispers. The moment the engines cut off, a cold silence wrapped around them. They stepped out together, side by side. Waiting for them was a group of figures dressed in dark cloaks, faces hidden by silver masks. One figure stepped forward, taller than the rest, and pulled back his hood. It was an old alien, his skin cracked like ancient stone, his eyes sharp and full of secrets. "We have been waiting for you," he said in a voice like dry wind. Aaron glanced at Liara. She gave the smallest nod. The old alien spoke again. "We are the broken houses, those once loyal to Vraxis. Now we seek a new banner to follow." Aaron's heart pounded. "You want to join us?" he asked, unable to hide his surprise. "Not you," the alien said, smiling faintly. "Her." He turned his gaze to Liara. "She carries the old blood, the blood that once united worlds, the blood that can inspire, not rule by fear." The alien dropped to one knee. One by one, the others followed, kneeling in silence. Aaron felt the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders. This was bigger than escape now. This was the beginning of rebellion. Liara stepped forward. "Then rise," she said. "We fight not for power but for freedom." The warriors rose, their weapons glinting under the dim lights. But before they could speak more, alarms rang through the battleship. Aaron turned toward the main screen. The nightmare had arrived. Lord Vraxis's flagship, a monstrous vessel of black steel and burning engines, was bearing down on them. Dozens of smaller ships followed like a swarm of angry hornets. Vraxis had found them, and he had come with all his fury. "Prepare for battle," Liara ordered calmly. The soldiers scattered, rushing to stations. Aaron and Liara ran to the command deck. Outside, space lit up with fire as the first shots were exchanged. Energy beams cut across the darkness, explosions blooming like deadly flowers. Aaron gritted his teeth. "We can't win this head on." "No," Liara agreed. "We don't need to win. We need to survive." The battleship shook under a heavy hit. Lights flickered. Systems groaned. Liara pointed to a narrow corridor between two moons. "If we draw them into that pass, we can set traps. Make them bleed." "Risky," Aaron said. "Everything is risky now," Liara answered. Aaron smiled grimly. "Then let's make it worth it." They sent out the orders. Their battered battleship dived toward the moons, with Vraxis's armada close behind. The battle became a dance of death. Mines exploded in tight corridors. Enemy ships crashed against hidden rocks. Ambush teams struck from hidden crevices. Slowly, painfully, the armada thinned. But Vraxis's flagship remained untouched, unstoppable. Finally, As the last defenders fell back, Vraxis himself appeared, a giant hologram projected before them, his face twisted in rage. "You think you can defeat me, daughter?" he roared. "You think you can hide behind these insects?" Liara stepped forward, her voice steady. "I am not hiding," she said. "I am leading." Vraxis laughed, a sound like breaking bones. "Then come," he said, "face me yourself." The challenge was clear. Liara looked at Aaron. He nodded. "I'll cover you," he said. She smiled, a rare, true smile. Then she launched herself into the escape craft, flying straight at the flagship. Aaron stayed behind, weaving through enemy fire, distracting, protecting. Liara's small ship crashed into the flagship's docking bay. She stepped out alone. Inside, the halls of the flagship were dark and twisted, full of scars from old wars. Soldiers rushed at her, but she moved like a storm, silent, deadly, unstoppable. Finally, she reached the throne room. Vraxis waited there, his armor black and red, his sword gleaming. "You are no daughter of mine," he snarled. "No," Liara agreed. "I am something better." The fight was brutal. Vraxis was strong, monstrous in his rage, but Liara was faster, smarter, driven by something he had lost long ago: hope. The battle raged. Through the throne room, smashing pillars, tearing the walls. Finally, with a roar, Liara disarmed him. She stood over him, her blade at his throat. Vraxis stared up at her, hate burning in his eyes. "Do it," he hissed. But Liara shook her head. "No," she said. "Your reign ends today, not by death, but by life." She turned away. Vraxis roared and lunged at her back, but a shot rang out. Aaron stood at the entrance, blaster in hand. Vraxis fell, defeated. The flagship shuddered as news spread through the armada. The warlord was gone. The soldiers surrendered. The battle was over. Later, standing among the ruins of the flagship, Liara looked at Aaron. "What now?" he asked. Liara smiled, her golden eyes shining. "Now we build," she said. "Not an empire, not a throne, but a future." Together, they looked out at the stars, free at last. The galaxy was broken, but together, they would heal it, one battle at a time.